you definitely need to talk to an attorney who has an interest in area of, and works in this area, because seamen are killed.
When a commercial fisherman is injured on the job, what are their rights and how do they get help? We're going to find out right now, because that's what we're going to ask the lawyer on this episode. Here to answer our questions is Alaska attorney Mark Choate. I want to remind you, if you want to ask Mark questions of your own, it's easy. Go to askthelawyer.com. Click the button at the top that says Ask a Lawyer, or you can simply call the phone number that you'll see on the screen while we talk. Mark, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for helping us out.
Great seeing you.
So I'm sure you've seen a lot of these type of commercial fisherman injuries in your career. Give me a couple of examples. What sort of things are we talking about?
Well, commercial fishermen, commercial fishing is a dangerous business. You're in usually open waters. Right. You're usually on vessels that are moving up and down and sideways. You've got current, wind, tide, swells. You've got often lots of bad weather. Can be rain, snow, sleet. Things are frozen or icy. And you have lots of hydraulic equipment, things that are very heavy and big, pulling, tugging, moving. So they're all opportunities for commercial fishermen to get hurt.
Now, most of these situations, a commercial fisherman injured in these situations, as I understand it, would not be eligible for state workers' comp. It's a federal thing. Tell me how that works and what sort of things are they eligible for?
There's laws that go back literally hundreds and hundreds of years, well before the founding of the United States, that protect seamen. Meaning, because we've always had sailors who worked on vessels and traveled around the world, and the laws are very, very protective of seamen, and that includes commercial fishermen.
Okay.
And those laws are designed to make sure that if they get hurt, that they get medical coverage. If they get hurt, they have at least some money to be able to stay while they're getting medical coverage. The laws then also provide ways to hold the ship owners responsible, both in what's called for unseaworthiness, which is sort of if there's a condition which makes the vessel less safe than it should be,
right,
normally be, that can by itself sort of a strict liability. The seaman can go after the vessel for unseaworthiness. And then if there's been some negligence, even if it's just a featherweight of negligence is a term they use, you can sue under the Jones Act. And so there's what's called maintenance and cure, which is taking care of you and paying for your medicals. There's unseaworthiness, and then there's Jones Act, all available to commercial fishermen.
Tell me more about maintenance and cure. What sort of things are covered under that? What can that, what will that pay?
In the cure part, which is the medical part, it's going to pay for and must pay for all expenses that are related to any injury on board, irrespective of fault. So if you just simply slip because you're not looking where you're going, or you bang your head on something that you shouldn't have because you knew better, you still get cure. And cure will pay for all of your reasonable medical expenses, including your evacuation to shore or your evacuation to a hospital or wherever, up to the point that you reach maximum medical improvement, which means there's nothing else that can be done to help you get better. Then there's maintenance, and maintenance is a daily amount that is paid to, in theory, cover your cost for not being on the vessel. So a place to live and a place for food. Maintenance is generally really awful, like from maybe $60 to $90 a day. And $60 a day, you're not going to live, you're not going to stay anywhere and eat on $60 a day, but a lot of maintenance is at that level. But you are entitled to both those things. Interestingly, the courts have held that if a vessel fails to provide maintenance and cure, they can be responsible for punitive damages, which can be a huge thing. So generally speaking, most vessels will pay, their owners are going, and their insurance companies are going to pay maintenance and cure because the risk of not paying it are very hard.
What about payment for pain and suffering, Mark? Does that figure in somewhere?
Not with the maintenance and cure side. With the unseaworthiness side or the Jones Act side, unseaworthiness is, again, there's a condition of the vessel which is unseaworthy, right. And that could be everything from a part that should have been replaced, or something that's sharp, or something that's not being maintained correctly, to even a fellow crew member is not trained properly, or they're too tired because they've not gotten enough rest. There's a lot of ways that you can bring on the seaworthiness claim. Those claims can result in general, both your lost earnings, lost future earnings, plus damages like pain and suffering. Jones Act, which is a negligence claim, also will let you to bring claims for pain and suffering.
You mentioned this is a dangerous occupation. Many times these accidents, these situations can end in death. If it does, what does a surviving spouse, if there is one, or family members need to know? What's your advice to them?
Well, they need to certainly make a claim. Depending on the type of injury, how the person is killed. Again, you have these remedies of unseaworthiness and Jones Act. There are some limitations on death cases, and so you may not get the same types of values in a death case on a vessel as you would potentially in some state jurisdictions. But it depends. There's a lot of these cases can be brought, even though the law is mainly federal law, they can be brought in state courts where you can get juries. Juries can sometimes give you much better verdicts than you might get from a judge. But you definitely need to talk to an attorney who has an interest in area of, and works in this area, because seamen are killed. I mean, it does happen, relatively frequently, which is why we have these laws to protect seamen.
Lots of really helpful information as usual, Mark. Thank you for making some time to answer our questions. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Alaska attorney Mark Choate. I remind you, if you want to ask Mark any questions of your own, just go to askthelawyer.com. Click the button at the top that says Ask a Lawyer, and it'll walk you through the very simple process. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with Ask the Lawyers.